Awesome. Welcome everyone, and thanks for attending MCE's second event. MCE's second event, Think Global, Stay Local. My name is Naya Abdelgaber, and I'll be your host today, coming to you live from St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. To start today, we'd like to acknowledge that the lands on which Memorial University campuses are located in the traditional territories of diverse Indigenous groups. We'd also like to acknowledge with respect that the cultures and histories of the Beothuk, Mi'kmaq, the Innu and Inuit of this province. So we'd also like for you to reflect on the lands you're on and reflect on where these lands are located, on which they are the traditional territories of other Indigenous groups as well. So we can start today now. First of all, this is the first time in person since the start of the pandemic that we have in-person guest speaker, Josh Green from Mysa. So Josh founded Mysa in 2014 as Empowered Homes, shortly after completing his degree of mechanical engineering from Dalhousie University. And along with his co-founder and brother, Zach, they led the team at Mysa to bring to market the Mysa Smart Thermostat for baseboard heating, which now has shipped over 100,000 devices across Canada and the US. Welcome, Josh. It's great having you here with us today.
Thank you.
And we're encouraging everyone to engage with Josh by posting your questions in the chat, and we'll get to them and address them once we get to the Q&A session of the event. Well, without further ado, I'm gonna let you take the stage and take it away, Josh.
Cool. Thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here. It's funny, my parents just live a couple streets over, so I parked at their house and I walked over, and it was great to kind of reminisce. I spent 2 years here on campus bringing from an idea to an actual company, and I remember the nights here. Genesis Center office was over there and an MCE, and I was reminiscing about what it was in those early days when we were starting Mysa, and so it's great to be here and excited to share a little bit about my journey and the story and some of the lessons that I learned in the early days, and then also be super pumped and excited to hear any questions about anything that you guys have. So hopefully the slides up that people would see to give me a gauge of what slide I'm on. That would be I can maybe click the button. Oh, perfect, wonderful, look at that, wonderful, great, okay. So yeah, think global, stay global. So I'm gonna share a little bit about the journey that we took and some lessons along the way. And then at the end, in reference to the kind of topic for today, I'll also share some more specific things about global stage. So a little bit how I got started. Right out of university, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I also knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur who was doing something to fight climate change. I was super passionate about fighting climate change. And so I started a business, more of a consulting type business, back right after university in 2013. And I was looking for a business that was kind of easy to get into. It wasn't going to need a large capital investment or anything like that. So this kind of consulting gig kind of worked out really well. So I went to Vistaprint and made myself a magnet for my car and kind of business cards and that kind of stuff, which was the kind of fun stuff at the beginning. But ultimately, I was a person who would go into homes and do an evaluation of a home to see how they can make their homes more energy efficient. And so I had this little camera where I could look for heat loss in a building, and I would kind of prepare these reports for how homeowners can make their homes more energy efficient. And I did this for, I think it was about 3 years, and I had about 20 clients over those 3 years, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it wasn't, but it was a great experience. If I go to the next slide, it was a great experience because I was learning what it meant to be talking to customers and understanding how you deal with them, asking them for money and all that kind of stuff, which was super awkward at the beginning, but it's kind of looking ahead a little bit too much. I think there's a delay. That's okay.
There's a delay, yeah. So we're just working through it here.
No worries. I should be able to adjust. So I click back. I'll see if okay, wonderful. I'll just account for that delay. So the best thing that happened though through those energy audits was me stumbling on an idea. stumbling on an opportunity that if I wasn't doing the energy audits, I'd have no idea how I would have found this opportunity. And the opportunity is regarding smart thermostats, which allows you to control your heating system from your phone, set schedules, make sure that you're not wasting energy. At the time, there were smart thermostats from Nest and Ecobee, but they only worked with furnaces. They were what's called low voltage thermostats. And baseboard heating, which is super popular here in Newfoundland, is high voltage heating. And so there were no smart thermostats for high voltage heating like baseboard heating. And that was really the birth of Mysa, was stumbling on that opportunity. And then there was a whole bunch of work about evaluating said opportunity. But I think that goes to kind of like the first big lesson that I had along my entrepreneurial journey, was that the best way to be in business is just to simply get out there and be in business. And you never know what opportunity you're going to find. And likely the very first thing that you start and the second and the third thing won't be the thing that takes off or succeeds or whatever. But certainly if you put yourself out there, you are increasing the probability, you're increasing the chance that you're going to stumble upon an opportunity. And so there's so many people that are waiting, but that doesn't get you anywhere. You really just take the step and get out there. So that's kind of lesson number one that was really impactful for me. So the next slide. Okay, cool. So from there, I had this idea of let's build a smart thermostat. But then the question was, if we build it, would anyone buy it? Is there a market opportunity? And we literally had no idea. So my brother and I, my brother is my co-founder. He's 3 years younger than me. He actually did go to Memorial for engineering. But we had no business training, and we said, well, how are we going to know if this is even a good business idea? And so in the early days, we had a lot of help from Memorial and the groups here, whether it's Genesis, MCE, Propel ICT, about helping us think through how we could validate the idea. And ended up, what we did was we created a nice looking website that we thought was somewhat professional, and it looks legit. And it's like, yeah, okay, if I came here and I was a customer, I'm like, yeah, this is a legit company. There's a picture of a thermostat there. Little do they know that nothing in this picture is real. It is all images. They are renders. They are things that you just put together. Nothing on this page was real at the beginning, and it was really just to test the idea. But one of my mentors, who also now works at Mysa, always says, if you're going to test something, you better test it well, and your execution of the said test needs to be important. And so putting the effort in to make the website look beautiful, make it look really legit, like I said, is really, really important if you're going to do a test. It's not just good enough to just trial a test and put a half effort into it. So you really want to do something that you're putting your full weight behind. So we did that, and we put together this website, and my brother was a lot of the mastermind behind the website, and we put an ability for people to put their credit card information in and click, yeah, I want to buy these thermostats, which was amazing, and he figured all that out on his own. And I remember the first order came in, it was like, yeah, it was December 24th, and we had a stranger in the US give us his credit card information to buy a fictional thermostat that did not exist. And we said, this is wonderful, what a Christmas gift. And then since that day, more and more orders came in, and you can kind of see the chart there on the right about our pre-sales that took, this is a period over several months there. But ultimately, we continued to invest in this pre-sales and pre-order campaign, and we were able to generate nearly $700,000 of pre-orders through this website for a product that at this time did not exist. And that was really, really critical to Mysa's story and our inflection point, because once we were able to demonstrate that there was a market, that there were customers who liked what we were showing them, and that were willing to pay us, that helped everything in terms of getting funding from private investors. It helped to getting grants applications approved, whether it's kind of provincial or federal ones. everything got better when we were able to demonstrate that there was traction for our product. I think it's a cool story of being able to test an idea without having to go the full way. And so I think that is a big kind of profound lesson. And so with all of the amazing tools that are out there today, it is really, really simple to test for that product market fit. And you learn a ton about your customers in doing so, right? Because as we had, this is really cool, Zach had a little chat bot on this website, and he would literally be talking to customers on this chat bot at this website. And they'd be asking him questions about some of the stuff on the website. And he's like, oh, that's great. And then later that night, he would go fix it, update the website. And so we were able to iterate really quickly as well. So testing things before you build it is a great idea. And you can be creative about how you do that, but I think it's really, really important. And like I said, so much of everything kind of really becomes easier when you can demonstrate that traction and product market fit. So that was lesson number 2. So once then we had all these pre-orders and customers wanting to buy the product, we actually then had to deliver the product. We had to go build it. And that was a monumental effort for sure. And so here are some very embarrassing but real photos of prototypes. Prototypes are meant to be embarrassing, but this was literally the kind of the early concepts of us putting prototypes together for the thermostat. We hired at this point 3-4 individuals to help us, electrical engineers and software engineers to help us build the product. And we were able to ramp up that hiring after we raised our kind of first pre-seed investment. We were able to ramp up hiring quite a bit more to go through the whole process. That took about 1.5 years to kind of idea, to build it, manufacturing, certification, and there's a whole bunch of stuff there, but I won't bore you with that because not everyone is into hardware. But ultimately, we were able to deliver and refine the product down to what we ended up shipping to customers about 1.5 years, 2 years later, which was Mysa for electric baseboard heating. And the product, as you see it right there, we have shipped close to 150,000 of them across Canada and the US, which is kind of mind-blowing, but we're super proud of it. So I guess the next lesson was basically, or kind of thought process was that the kind of first idea that you have of what the solution kind of looks like is also rarely going to be the one that works. And so in that prototype you saw there, it looked kind of big and kind of a lot of different, didn't look like a thermostat, that's for sure. But that was kind of our idea. But what is important, I think, is recognizing that you should be critical of your idea and your solution, and you should be listening to customer feedback and be willing to change and evolve your solution. Don't think that you're going to get it right on the first shot or the second shot or the third shot. You need to continuously refine it. And that's what we did over a period of 18 months, was continuously refine it. You also don't want to give up and abandon. Like that's of course like a hallmark of an entrepreneur is not giving up, but certainly being honest with yourself and being recognizing when you do need to be critical and pivot is important. Because if we had stuck in our ways with those kind of prototypes you saw there, we would definitely not have been successful. So being okay to alter course is important. So yeah, like I said, this slide is a little bit out of date. We're now over to 150,000 devices, close on 60,000 customers. You can kind of see our growth rate over the years there. We launched a second product there, 2020, for in-floor heating. And now this year we've launched our third product for air conditioning and heat pumps. And kind of across the spectrum, it's a well-loved product with nearly 7,000 reviews, 4.5 stars that we're very proud of. We've gotten some awards. And we've also been able to, not only we've done well to sell on our website, but we've also now been able to strike some great partnerships with Home Depot and Best Buy, which has been amazing. And I remember the day, so just a side story, I remember 2016, going into Best Buy, said, where are the smart thermostats or baseboard heating? The nice gentleman said, sorry, those don't exist. And then I remember it would have been 2020. So then 4 years later, walking in and seeing our thermostat on the shelf at Best Buy here, Stavanger Drive, was like mind blowing for me, and cool feeling to be able to say that didn't exist and then we made it exist. So that was pretty awesome. Just see what the next slide here is. Okay, so yeah, a little bit more about where we're headed. And so I mentioned early on, I said I'm passionate about fighting climate change, and that's really why I kind of get out of bed in the morning, and I try to as much live my life in that direction as possible, and continuing to build Mysa also in that direction. So like I said, we've launched in-floor product there in the middle, and now our product for air conditioners, and we're building out this lineup of products and ecosystem, and kind of really trying to now, what we started out was just two brothers with a small idea to make a thermostat for baseboard heating, has evolved into this, let's build a world-class company where we want to be the best smart thermostat in the world for electric heating and cooling. And it's this big vision now with nearly 90 people working at Mysa. And we've gone from just this little idea to this kind of big company, all around this mission of fighting climate change. And we show this slide so much at Mysa. It's in so many of our decks about strategy, about onboarding people. And it is phenomenal to me that as passionate as I was about fighting climate change and making a difference, I've been able to attract 90 more people to help me fight climate change. It's just like blows my mind. But I guess the lesson here was my passion, I think, for fighting climate change and really wanting to make a difference in the world is what helped me get going, because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of challenges that you're going to face, and you really, really want to be passionate about what you're doing, and know that you can't give up, because it's too of an important thing to give up. So that passion, if you can find that piece as well, that is just incredible. So that was fourth lesson, and so the kind of very last lesson, and then I'll talk a little bit more. How am I doing for time? I'm good. Who helps Mysa succeed? I need to update this slide because I can easily add 10 more logos of all the people that help Mysa succeed. We've got incredible people at Mysa that I'm so proud of, but I'm also proud of all the partners that help Mysa along the way and continue to help Mysa along the way. And like I said, I could add 10 more logos to this. Everyone here has played a role in helping Mysa. And so if you don't know people on this slide, you should get to know them. That was the fifth lesson is, and this was my brother who kind of pushed us in this direction, is getting plugged into the ecosystem. When I was doing the energy audits, I was like all by myself, this lonely guy, waiting for the phone to ring, hoping that I could get an energy audit. But as when Zach came and he got us into the programs here at the university and getting plugged in, that made the world of difference. And so really lean into that. Certainly you want to be focused on your business, but spend the time also to connect and engage in the amazing community that's here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I will say, and you probably hear this a lot, but there is some like really great ingredients to the community here in Newfoundland that in other places in the country, and I talk to other CEOs across Canada and even across the US, and we have something really special here in Newfoundland and Labrador, and everyone should use it to their advantage because it's an amazing community here. So those are just kind of like 5 kind of big lessons. I don't know if maybe you already knew all of those things, but I certainly have lived them and wanted to share them with you. So just in the context quickly of kind of going global while staying local, just sharing kind of just some kind of stats or whatever. So how do you sell a product across Canada and the United States? In past times, that would seem like a very difficult thing that you would need to get into retailers right from the beginning. But through the rise of e-commerce and being able to put a store up on the website, up on the internet is so easy these days. that anyone can open up a store and open the store up really anywhere in the world. You could sell anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be North America. It could be anywhere. And it's amazing. I'll put a plug here for Shopify. That's what we happen to use. But anyone, anywhere can start a business. I really like that tagline that they have. And this platform is so fundamental. And there's other platforms out there, of course, that you can use. But leaning into this to be able to create a global company is certainly makes it the barrier to entry so much lower. Other things, so this is all, again, I'm gonna give credit to Zach here. So how do you even let people know that you exist? How are people gonna find you? And so Google ads and Facebook ads, and there's even more that are out there now, of course. These were the ones that were really popular for us getting started, but you can advertise to any customer anywhere on the planet for like pennies. It's incredible the reach that you can get through these new tools, and really allowing you to reach customers anywhere. And so certainly embracing these tools that exist, and leveraging them to reach people globally. Other things, Amazon is another huge platform. It certainly has its challenges, but it's also been a huge part of Mysa's success. And to this date, all of our products are available there, and a lot of customers really like to use the Amazon platform. And it's a great platform to be able to reach a wide audience, similar to Shopify. These are some slides that Zach pulled together, and he's super passionate about this one as well, about using communities, and he's particularly excited about Reddit, to find ideas and to discover what customers are saying and what their challenges are. Of course, you can do, and you should do, phone calls and customer discovery in that way, but this is customer discovery. And he's doing this on a scale that he's collecting so much information and valuable information that he can do it from his bed. Another example is reading all of the reviews of similar products, right? So while we were making a high voltage thermostat, we must have read 2,000 customer reviews of low voltage thermostats to understand what are they looking for, what are the problems with thermostats. And so there's just so much access to information online that you should definitely use to your advantage, because there's just so much of it out there. So this is another one, just tip for anyone who's looking to get work done. Maybe you already know this, but so Upwork and there's other kind of platforms that allow you to do this. Sometimes you need to hire people that are not in your network, or they're not here, that you have access to. And so this is showing a case where we had no experience designing plastic injection molds. And so we hired somebody, I think we hired two people. One somebody was in Europe and another person was in Australia, and they helped us figure this out. And so this having access to talent that you can hire to do work for you anywhere on the planet was really exciting. So definitely take advantage of access to marketplaces like Upwork. And then I think there's maybe just one more slide. Oh, okay, yes. And so we also produce our thermostats in China, so in Shenzhen, China. And so we did travel there twice, actually 3 times. It was a great experience, but now, especially forced because of COVID, we've created a great relationship via Zoom and via other communication channels. And so this is a picture of like 10 people from Mysa and from our manufacturer having a discussion. And so certainly using all the kind of tools to be able to communicate with people around the world also helps you stay where you are and be global, right? So that's certainly changed from what it was 10 years ago. And then again, customers have gone online as well. So I think showing here Port Rexton. So the reason he's showing Port Rexton is because the person that negotiated our distribution contracts with the folks that were in Home Depot in Atlanta, she did those negotiations from Port Rexton. And I just think that is such a cool story that she negotiated these $1 million contracts with world-class retailers, and she did it from Port Rexton. And that's just one example, but yeah, that's so Home Depot is a customer of ours, and being able to reach them and not actually have to fly down to Atlanta, which is nice. We kind of touched on this already, similar to the Reddit one, but I think this is kind of more related to, oh yeah, this is the Milk Movement guys. Somebody posted, when I offered to help an underrepresented founder with their pitch deck, I did not expect to be reviewing a business plan for a cow milk production facility in Newfoundland. And I think that was just such a cool thing that somebody saw this and wanted to help, and such a funny tweet that I thought it was worth sharing, but there's just so much help out there. I think that's the end. Is that how am I doing for time? We got near the end of it, so cool. Yeah, so this is a picture of the Mysa crew taken 2 years ago. So we've grown quite a bit since then. I've also kind of shared my email here. If you'd ever like to reach out and ask me any questions, please do so.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Josh, for the great and inspiring story. It's always great to hear about local startups here, and also great to hear about Mysa and how you're growing over the years. So we encourage everyone to post your questions in the chat if you have any questions for Josh. Right now it's the Q&A session part of the event, and actually I have a few questions ready.
Wonderful.
Before people start posting. So I'll kick off with the first question. And why do you think Newfoundlanders or people here in the province who live here, they have the mindset that they can't break into outside market?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know if I have a great answer other than what people have shared about just the pure resiliency of people here. We're kind of like somewhat disconnected, although the internet is changing that, but just the pure resiliency, I think that's like kind of the hallmark feature of an entrepreneur's resiliency. And I think a lot of people in the community have talked about that resilience trait is so strong amongst people here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Awesome. Well, on to the second question I have is, what was the most valuable piece of advice you were given through your entrepreneurial journey? And I know a lot of times there is more than one, but what's one that resonates with you the most?
So the one that I guess that has stayed with me and been relevant through my entire journey, so right from kind of the beginning, and so I've been at this for 5 years, and the piece of advice that I think that has stayed relevant and to this day I'm still leveraging and using is wanting to continuously surround yourself with great people and continuously doing less and less. So you take kind of your responsibilities and then hire somebody to do those responsibilities so that you can go on and do the next thing. And you kind of keep doing that. And that is a really hard thing to do because finding the right people is so important. So surrounding yourself with great people and then empowering those people to do the exact same thing. Those people taking what they used to do, hire somebody great underneath them, and that's what we've used to kind of scale the kind of company at Mysa. So, I mean, that's a hard question to answer in terms of but certainly surrounding yourself with great people, getting the Mysa product out the door that very first time. There was 20 people at that point that had joined the company, and every one of them played an instrumental role in getting us through to launching that first product. For
sure, having a strong team is definitely so important to launch your product and start your company.
And even at this next phase of Mysa, right? So we've kind of gone from $0 million to $10 million, and we're now at this next phase of how do we grow from $10 million to $100 million? And that piece of advice, I asked one of my mentors what I should be thinking about, and he said, "Josh, it's the same thing. It's people, just to a higher degree." So yeah.
Awesome. Well, we have a question here from someone in the audience, and it's, how has the tensions with China affected your supply chain?
Quite little, and we are very thankful. And the reason being is that we found an amazing partner in China. They have been a trusted partner with us the whole time, super communicative. They've been just fantastic to deal with. And so because we've had such a strong relationship, we've kind of sailed through and had very limited impacts from that perspective.
That's great to hear. It's always a relief for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and I have one more question. How has the diversity of the skills, backgrounds, and people on your team helped Mysa?
Yeah, it's a great question. So two angles. So there's the skill set piece and there's the personality piece, and having diversity of both are super important. So on the technical piece, I think everyone gets that. Somebody who's an engineer is not going to have the ability to work cash flow models or figure out these beautiful marketing campaigns. And so finding the diverse set of talent that you need to be able to technically do everything is super important. But I'd say just as important is finding a set of people who also have diverse personalities to you, and have this idea of this kind of personality, it's like a quadrant of all different, and there's arguably more than 4 different types of personalities, but having a diverse set of personalities to kind of people who are more comfortable taking risk. You also want people who are more comfortable knowing all the details. You want people who are comfortable doing the social aspect of it. And so you really want a diverse set, not only on the technical side, but also on the personality side. And as you're looking to form and put teams together, thinking about people's personalities and thinking, hey, are we leaning too much here on people who are willing to take risks? And maybe we should balance that out by bringing somebody on the team who's a little bit more conservative to balance us out.
Okay, and what would you say to students here who have an idea and want to launch a startup from here?
So immediately just do it. There's nothing stopping you. Just do it and reach out to everyone for support and use the ecosystem. But just get going and
Okay, and do you plan to branch out to more products? Are there more products on the radar for Mysa?
Certainly more products, and that's a great discussion that we have all the time at Mysa. But it always comes back to why does Mysa exist, and what is our vision, and making sure that the products that we're going to come out with are aligned with that vision. And just to share a little bit, yes, we make smart home products, but we are focused on helping fighting climate change, and we're helping people be more energy efficient in their homes. And so for that reason, we will never build a smart camera for security. It's a smart home product, sure. We could build it technically, sure, but it is not aligned with what we want to do. And so our vision and kind of product roadmap is rooted in that fighting climate change, helping homeowners with energy efficiency. And so as long as it's in that vein, all products are kind of on the table up for discussion.
Awesome. And another question from the audience is, when do you think is the right time to hire your first employee in the company?
That is a great question. I think that it makes sense to hire your first employee, like paid employee, because I also just maybe on a quick side note is, if you don't have a co-founder yet, I would be a huge advocate for finding co-founders, because having 2 or 3 co-founders in the early days is going to help you so much, because 2 or 3 people really working hard can get a lot done. And so I'm a huge advocate for co-founders. But in terms of hiring kind of that first employee past the co-founders, I would say that as much as you can demonstrate that customer traction piece and kind of getting past that, because it is I view bringing somebody into your company is a huge responsibility. I believe it to be, and you really want to make sure that of course, it's still going to be a risk, but you want to de-risk it for them to a degree. So as much as you can do as product that market fit and making sure that you're not just inventing something that shouldn't exist. So I'd say if you can kind of get it closer to getting that product market fit, it makes sense.
Amazing. And it seems like we came to the end of the questions here from the audience, but I'm sure that if you have any more questions, you can specifically about Mysa, you can email Josh through the email he left on the screen. And well, that was excellent questions. These were it was an excellent engagement, excellent discussion. And thank you again, Josh, for joining us today. It was a pleasure. So to everyone who joined us today, I'd like to remind you that there's still networking left. So if you're in person, you can network with people as long as, of course, you maintain physical distancing. And if you're online, there's the networking tab on the side panel of Hopin. Make sure to join there and network with more people. It's not the end of the event yet. The platform is going to be open until 2 p.m. So go there, connect, ask questions, and maybe you'll be able to find your next co-founder. So don't forget to contact MCE to book a meeting with one of our 4 startup coaches, or to find support and funding to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. Also, for Canadian students and permanent residents, there's a new federal program titled Experience Ventures. And this program places students within startups for short-term placements throughout the semester. This is a great way to get integrated with the local startup community, and you can check it out at mce.mon.ca. Enjoy the rest of networking and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great being here.